Hazrat Ubadah bin Samit's son states, I and my father went towards this tribe of the helpers in search of knowledge, and it happened before the destruction of that tribe. Abu Yasar, the companion of Allah's Apostle ﷺ, was the first one who met us, and he was then accompanied by his slave who had a bundle of scriptures. Hazrat Abu Yasar had worn a streaked chador and a garment made in ma'afir, and his slave had also worn a streaked chador and a garment made in ma'afir. I said, O uncle, I am observing the signs of fury on your face. He said, so and so, the son of so and so of the tribe of Haram, owed me a debt. I went to his house, extended salutation, and asked, is he inside? They replied, no. Then suddenly his young son came out to me. I asked him, where is your father? He replied, no sooner did he hear your sound than he hid behind my mother's bedstead. I thereupon said, come out to me, as I have come to know where you are. So he came out. I said to him, what prompted you to hide away from me? He replied, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, I will definitely narrate it to you, and I will not tell a lie. By Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, I fear that I will tell a lie if I talk to you, and if I make a promise with you, I will back out, whereas you are the companion of Allah's Apostle ﷺ. And by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, I am a destitute person. I said, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He replied, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. I then asked, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He replied, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. I again asked, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He replied, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. I thereupon sent for the document containing debt record and wrote off the debt with my own hand and said, if you find yourself solvent enough to pay off the debt, pay it off. Otherwise, there is no liability upon you. Hazrat Abu Yasar, placing his fingers on his eyes, said, I testify that my both these eyes saw and my both these ears heard. And pointing towards his heart, he said, this heart of mine retained that Allah's Apostle ﷺ said, whoso gives respite to any destitute person or remits his debt, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will provide him the shadow of his blessing. I said to Hazrat Abu Yasar, O uncle, if you had taken the streaked chador from your slave and give him the garment made in ma'afir, or taken the garment made in ma'afir from him and given him the streaked chador, you both would have got cloaks, two same chadors. He stroked my head and said, O Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, bless him. O my brother, son, nephew, my both these eyes observed and my both these ears listened to, and this heart of mine retained. He pointed to his heart, that Allah's Apostle ﷺ said, feed them, your slaves, what you yourselves eat, and clothe them, what you yourself put on. And it is easier for me to give him two worldly goods than it that he should take my virtues on the resurrection day. We then proceeded until we reached Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu, who was in his mosque and was performing prayer in one garment. I made my way striding over the people and sat between him and the Qibla. I then said to him, may Allah Jalla Jalaluhu show mercy to you. Are you performing wearing only one garment, whereas your chador is lying beside you? Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu whereupon stretched his fingers and turned them in the shape of a bow, struck my chest with his hand and said, I did so intending that a stupid like you will come to me, observe me performing prayer in a single garment, and think it right to start performing prayer in a single garment. Allah's Apostle ﷺ came to us in this masjid holding a twig of Ibn Tab, a kind of date palm. He ﷺ saw us not in the direction of the Qibla of the masjid. He ﷺ thereupon scratched it away with the twig and then said, who of you likes that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu may disregard him? Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu said, we got frightened. He ﷺ again said, who of you likes that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu may disregard him? Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu said, we got scared. He ﷺ once again said, who of you likes that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu may disregard him? We submitted, O Allah's Apostle ﷺ, none of us likes it. He ﷺ said, when some of you performs a prayer standing, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is in front of his face. So none of you should spit in front of him or on his right side. Rather, he should spit on his left side, beneath his left foot. Now, it is not allowed to spit on the concrete or carpeted floor. And if one cannot resist it, he should take it on the cloth and do so. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed how to fold and rub the cloth. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, "Show me some scent." A young man belonging to our tribe went home running and fetched some scent on his palm. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the scent, applied it to the end of that twig, and then applied the scent to the place of snot. Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu said, "That is why you people apply scent to your mosque." Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu further said, "We along with Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam set out for Ghazwa Batne Bawat. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam was looking for a Majdi bin Amr Johni. 5, 6 and 7 of us would take turns in mounting a camel. An Ansari intended to mount a camel. He made the camel kneel down, mounted it, and then tried to raise it up, but it expressed a bit stubbornness. He whereupon uttered, 'May the curse of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be upon you.' Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam whereupon asked, 'Who has cursed his camel?' He submitted, 'O Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam, here I am.' He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 'Alight from this camel. Do not keep any cursed animal in our company. Do not invoke malediction against your property, lest it should synchronize with the time when Allah Jalla Jalaluhu is about to bestow what you implore, and thus your invocation will readily be approved.' We then again set off along with Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam until when it was evening, and we reached near a water of the Arabian waters. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 'Which man will go ahead and renovate the pond, drink the water himself, and serve the water to us?' Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu said that he got up and submitted, 'O Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam, here is that man.' Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 'Who else will accompany Jabir?' Hazrat Jabbar bin Sekhar whereupon got up. We reached near the well, poured 1 bucket or 2 of water into the pond, plastered it with clay, and then poured water into it until filled it with the water. Then first of all, Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to us and said, 'Do both of you permit me to drink water?' We submitted, 'Yes, O Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam.' He sallallahu alaihi wasallam released his she-camel and it drank the water. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam then pulled its rein and it stopped drinking water and then urinated. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam took it aside and made it kneel down. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam then made for the pond and performed ablution from it. I then got up and performed ablution from the place Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed the ablution. Then Hazrat Jabbar bin Sakhar went to relieve himself. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up to perform the ablution. I had only 1 small chador on me, so I started to cross its ends, but it could not reach my shoulders. It had border. I then inverted the chador, crossed its both ends and tied it to my neck. I thereafter came and stood on the left side of Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam clutched my hand, spinned me and made me stand on his right side. Then Hazrat Jabbar bin Sakhar came, performed ablution, came and stood on the left side of Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam caught hold of our hands, pushed us back and made us stand behind him. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam then started at me, but I could not perceive it. Then I perceived it. Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam beckoned with his hand, suffering, fasten it tight around your vest so that the private parts must not get exposed. When Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam had performed the prayer, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 'O Jabir,' I submitted, 'O Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am at your service.' He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 'When the garment is big enough, cross its both ends. But when it is small, tie it around your waist.' We set out along with Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ration of each of us was only 1 date. He would suck that date and then keep it in his garment. We would strike the leaves off the trees with our bows and eat them until inside corners of our mouth got blistered. One man would dispense dates. One day, he forgetfully did not dispense a date to a person, thinking that he had given him the date. A conflict arose, so we bore witness that he had not been given the date. We brought him, carrying him because of his being weak. So he was offered that date, and he got up to receive the date. We set out along with Allah's Apostle ﷺ until we laid over in a vast valley. Allah's Apostle ﷺ went to relieve himself. I followed him, carrying water in a leather bag. Allah's Apostle ﷺ could not find anything to screen himself. There were 2 trees at the side of the valley. Allah's Apostle ﷺ went to one of them and took hold of one of its branches and said, "Obey me with Allah's permission." That tree thereupon came into his control like a camel that has no string and is amenable to its drive. He ﷺ then went to the other tree and seizing one of its branches said, "Obey me with Allah's permission." It's like the first tree became amenable to him until when he was in the middle of both trees. He ﷺ joined them, saying, "Join with the permission of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu." So they both joined together. Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu says, thinking lest Allah's Apostle ﷺ seeing me near should go far away, Muhammad bin Abbad said, "Wayataba'ad." I sat and was talking to myself. Suddenly I saw Allah's Apostle ﷺ coming and noticed that the trees were separating, each standing on its own trunk. I saw that Allah's Apostle ﷺ stood there for a while, and he ﷺ then nodded his head in this way. Abu Ismail demonstrated it by signaling towards the right and the left with his head. He ﷺ then advanced towards me, and when he ﷺ reached near me, he ﷺ said, "O Jabir, did you see where I was standing?" I submitted, "Yes, O Allah's Apostle ﷺ." He ﷺ said, "Go to those trees and cut off a twig from each of them. And when you reach the place where I was standing, place one twig on your right side and one on your left side." Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu says, I got up, took a stone, broke it, sharpened it, reached near those trees and struck off one twig from each of them, and then dragging them, brought them where Allah's Apostle ﷺ was standing, and placed one twig on my right side and the other on my left side. I then reached near Allah's Apostle ﷺ and said, "O Allah's Apostle ﷺ, I have done as per your command. But what is its reason?" He ﷺ said, "I passed from there by 2 graves whose occupants were being tormented. I love my intercession for assuaging their torment so long as these twigs will remain fresh." Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu states, "We rejoined the troops. Allah's Apostle ﷺ said, 'O Jabir, announce for water.' I thereupon said, 'Here can bring water. Here can bring water. Here can bring water.' I then submitted, 'O Allah's Apostle ﷺ, the caravan had not a single drop of water. An Ansari would make water cool in an old water skin which remained hung with the branches of the tree for Allah's Apostle ﷺ. He ﷺ said, 'Go to so and so, the son of so and so Ansari, and see whether there is some water in his water skin or not.' I went to him, looked into it, and found that there was only a drop of water in the mouth of the water skin. If I had inverted the water skin, the dry part of water skin would have absorbed the amount of water. I entered the presence of Allah's Apostle ﷺ and submitted, 'O Allah's Apostle ﷺ, there is only one drop of water in the mouth of that water skin. If I had drawn that water would have penetrated the dry part of the water skin.' He ﷺ said, 'Go and fetch that water skin to me.' I fetched that water skin, held it in my hand. I don't know what he ﷺ said to it. He ﷺ continued pressing it with his hand, and then gave that water skin to me and said, 'Go and announce in the caravan to bring a big tub.' I announced, 'O the people of the caravan, bring a tub.' Then that tub was brought. I brought it and placed it before him. Allah's Apostle ﷺ put his hand into it in this way. He ﷺ stretched his fingers and then placed his hand at the bottom of the tub and then said, 'Take it.' Jabir reciting Bismillah, pour the water over my hand. I whereupon reciting Bismillah, pour water and saw water gushing out from between the fingers of Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam until the water started seething in the tub and that tub filled up. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, O Jabir, make an announcement that whoever needs water should come and take it. Then the people came, drank the water until they got satiated. I said, is there left anyone who needs water? Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam then lifted his hand up from the tub, whereas it was still full. Thereafter the people complained to Allah's Apostle sallallahu alaihi wasallam of being hungry. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, soon Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will feed you. We then reached near to the shore of an ocean. A tide came out of the ocean and it washed up a big sea animal. We lit fire on the coast, roasted that animal and consumed it until we got satiated. Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu said, I and so, he counted 5 men, entered its eye socket and none could see us until we came out. We took one of its ribs and erected it in the form of bow. Then we summoned the tallest man of the people of the caravan and the hugest camel of the caravan. He put the biggest saddle on the camel, sat on it and easily passed under the rib without bowing his head. Sahih Muslim Hadees number 7437.